Liam Lawson has had yet another disastrous qualifying session in which he finished P20 on pure pace, being outqualified by every driver on the grid. Seeing both of the Racing Bulls drivers reach Q3 and Verstappen fighting for pole is not going to console the Kiwi driver though, as he gave a damning verdict on his future with Red Bull. But with Marko now finally paying attention to Tsunoda's leap, are we going to witness a switch earlier than anticipated, and even more importantly, have Red Bull made the wrong call with Lawson? There is no question as to which driver is under the biggest pressure after the first two races of the 2025 season. Liam Lawson, the Kiwi driver, finished P20 in both of the qualifying sessions in China for the sprint event and the race itself. And the more humiliating fact is that on Saturday's session, he did it on pure race pace. Although he went on to blame Gasly for the overtake before the last corner, it's far from a proper argument and just a poor excuse as to why he wasn't able to do what he was supposed to, reach Q3. With the combination of the previous qualifying session in Melbourne, in which he finished P18, the average qualifying position for Lawson in Red Bull after 3 sessions stands at 1933. This is by far the worst start he could have imagined for his career, and Marko has already mounted the pressure on Lawson. To make matters worse, it seems like Liam has lost his confidence as well, admitting that he doesn't have a lot of time to adapt to the current machinery that is being given to him. Elaborating on this after the poor Saturday stint, he went on to say, "It's just really tough. Honestly, I think the window's really small. I mean, that is known, but honestly, it's not an excuse. I've got to get a handle on it. It was a messy session, and had we not dealt with traffic and stuff like that, it might have been okay, but to be honest, it's still not good enough to be having those issues, and that is the reason that we get knocked out. We should be fast enough on our first lap. It shouldn't be an issue, so I just need to get on top of it." There is no doubt that Lawson doesn't have a lot of time, because not only has he failed to outqualify Tsunoda since 2023's Singaporean GP, he is yet to score any points with the far more dominant squad compared to Racing Bulls. In all honesty, Liam didn't really have that many races to prove himself against Tsunoda, because after the end of the 2023 season, he was benched and was brought for the last 6 races of the 2024 season. But nevertheless, the performance in China was definitely worrying for the Kiwi driver, and it's something that he needs to improve sooner rather than later. Yuki, on the other hand, secured 3 big points in Saturday's sprint event and qualified P9 for tomorrow's event. Yep, Yuki was outqualified by his teammate Hadjar, who made a statement after Melbourne's silly crash in the formation lap, but nevertheless, both of the Racing Bulls drivers are fighting for points, while Max is left out to salvage Red Bull alone. And this is why a decision could be on its way sooner rather than later, which is a situation that Lawson knows better than anybody else. When talking about it to a greater extent, he didn't shy away from the challenge that is waiting for him in the upcoming period, as well as the risk of being replaced much sooner than he could have possibly anticipated. Furthermore, he said, "I think I just need time. Unfortunately, I don't really have time, but it's just one of those things. I mean, to drive a Formula 1 car, it takes 100% confidence in what you are doing, and it's not that I don't feel confident, but the window's so small right now, I just seem to miss it. It's that I just need to get a handle on. So yeah, I don't know how else to put it really, it's just not good enough." And this is what we warned about in one of our latest videos when we reported about Lawson's poor qualifying and finishing form. It's not that one race defines him as a driver, but it puts him in a situation where his confidence is lowered to a minimum, especially when it's his first race with Red Bull. There is no doubt that he has tons of potential, but now that he has to prove it because of the circumstances in which he received the promotion compared to Tsunoda, it's kind of a different world in which he's living in. To top that off, even Verstappen doesn't feel the greatest with the car, and the competition in the front has ramped up a lot. Compared to Perez for the majority of the season last year, the RB20 was a competitive machinery, but now it seems like the balance is not that great, and even though Max is the factor that extracts the absolute maximum out of it, there is only so much he can can do against the two Ferrari and McLaren drivers. Be that as it may, Red Bull will still need a driver who can put out solid performances on both Saturday and Sunday, because the situation doesn't look too good for them in the Constructors' Championship. If things continue this way, it's only a matter of time before they slip to P4, and it would also be a further loss with the cash prize money that they would receive from the sport. And Marko knows this better than anyone else, so he might feel a bit more pressure regarding this matter, as he was the one who promoted Lawson to the big dog league. Now that his driver is not showing nearly the potential they hoped in the first two races, although he is yet to perform on Sunday in China, the question of a replacement like Tsunoda does always come in as a good argument point that Red Bull would have to defend. This time, Marko didn't really have many negatives to say regarding Yuki, quite the contrary actually. The veteran Austrian praised the performance of the Racing Bulls drivers, stating that he made a giant leap compared to where he was last season. Elaborating further on this, Marko said, "Yuki changed his management and has been performing absolutely top-notch so far. He is in the form of his life and has made another quantum leap this year." Most of the time, statements like this from Marko mean absolutely nothing, because we've been often used to hearing a lot from him and nothing coming into reality. But to be praising the Racing Bulls driver after debating that he made a lot of mistakes last year is definitely something that Lawson would want to keep an eye on, especially in the current situation that the Kiwi driver found himself in after the poor qualification process in Melbourne and China. He might even score points from a position like this, but it's not the goal that he's been brought there to achieve with Red Bull. Liam was supposed to be within 0.3 of a second from Max and follow him up as much as he can in order to optimise the team's position in the Constructors' Championship. Like this, Red Bull can't even use him for a proper strategy for Max in case the four-time world champion finds himself defending or pushing against his competitors in the Drivers' Championship. Perez, for one, was quite useful in this regard, at least in 2021, when it mattered the most, and this is why awkward conversations are likely to be held in the upcoming period. The situation for Tsunoda is also shaping up quite nicely, because apart from the poor performance of Lawson, the arrival of Cadillac may also make things a bit more competitive for Red Bull in terms of keeping the Japanese driver in their camp. Still, the commitment from Yuki is towards the Austrian team, and when talking about the seat that was given to Lawson and not to him, Yuki went on to say, "I still want that Red Bull seat at some point, but the decision they made, it's up to them, not me. I had like 3 calls from Helmut, Christian and Laurent before the announcement. The first one was from Helmut, so I had the final decision from them. There is no point in complaining. I just said, yeah, I get it. Like, okay, good luck. Pretty much that's it. I just got to keep doing what I'm doing and my mindset won't change." The fact that Yuki believes the seat was given to Liam because of political reasons will also add more pressure to Red Bull to prove otherwise, which right now is a question that remains to be answered by Liam and Liam only. The Kiwi driver needs to find more performance out of the struggling Red Bull, and if he manages to control the car and make it behave like he wants, he can definitely be in the top 10 drivers in 2025. Time is closing up though, and there is nothing much that Liam can do other than buckle up and perform like his career depends on every next race we go, and I mean that literally. With all this in mind, do you think the Red Bull are going to consider a switch like the one they made in 2019 with Gasly and Albon? And if so, do you think it's going to come a bit earlier this time? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to check out the video that's appearing on your screen right now.